Hello and welcome to Hardcast, and join us on another sort of confusing time travel story featuring the whole Anipada trio. I'm Humphrey Urim.
And I'm Christian Claus.
Lifeline. Give me Ivar, Timewalker, Volume 2, Breaking History.
Issue 5. We begin with a group of warriors in space attacking the Citadel at the end of time. They're on a suicide mission to avenge their something, I don't know. They decide to ram the Citadel, but before they can hit it, they all age and die. Their ship ages and falls apart as well. Inside the Citadel, Neela and Neela are talking to each other about time and space. Then we jump to an unrecognizable Earth, which becomes recognizable by the friendly face of Gilad. Ivar appears and does his best Samuel L. Jackson routine and recruits Gilad into a team. All of this while fighting a bunch of death cult members, and they try to bum each other out about the end of the world, and it seems Gilad agrees to help. Then Ivar finds Armstrong and recruits him, even though he doesn't really want to be on a team with Gilad. Then, back in Gilad's time, the released prisoners of the death cult defeat them and find a ship, and we realize that we did a loop, and the group of warriors from the beginning were the Earthlings.
But yeah, I think that's a pretty good start of the continuation.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of remember why I didn't really like this book pretty much immediately. Just the way that it just keeps going back and forth about, the time thing. I mean, especially with the whole thing where Ivar was talking to Gilad, and then he talks to Armstrong, but then it seems, the way that he goes to get that burger at the end of Armstrong's, scene, you realize, oh, okay, so it was actually before the Gilad thing happened, and then you have to think about the whole thing about, timeline-wise, obviously it happened before Gilad, because he's like in year 9,999, and it's just like, was it 9,999 or was it 99,999?
I think it was 9,999.
Yeah, 9,999. Yeah, but it's just one of those things where, obviously the idea that they put it in there was just for fun, just kind of like look, it's time travel, it's nonsense, no one knows where you are, ha ha ha. But I don't know, for me personally, this is the kind of stories that I just do not like, because it's just overly complicated. You can't really make sense of it, and they always try to make sense of it. Like they keep throwing all these like scientific terms at you so that you can kind of think, all right, I'll accept that what they're saying means something. But most of this comic, and this is not just this issue, but all the other issues, are just explaining how things work. And it just gets boring after a while because they just keep on talking about like, well, why is this time-wise work? Or like, Ivar, how are you here? And then... we can discuss this then when we get to issue 8. But just that whole thing where it's just like kind of going back and forth and just like, what do you mean I will have missed? And just it's just so annoying.
So, but speaking of time travel, I feel like I traveled back to Volume 1 here.
How so?
Well, with your bitching.
Oh, okay. Okay.
On a meta level. No, I get what you mean, but I feel at least for like issue 1 here, it's kind of nice because it's self-contained.
Yeah.
I mean, the main joke, well, not joke, but the whole thing with that crew in the beginning and the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of works because it's just not really mentioned later. So it's just kind of interesting, like the whole, it showcases the whole issue with it. And it stands on its own, so to speak. But honestly, I really like the whole like Ivar Gilad scene. Like all this waxing philosophical in a sense.
Yeah.
No, but especially with Gilad, I mean, he spends thousands of years protecting the Earth, and as he says, as Ivar kind of says, then like with the world's gonna get destroyed. It's like, oh, so everything I've done doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that way. I also noticed something. We kind of got confirmation at first. What's called? Well, not like confirmation in that sense, but Ivar isn't immortal. I mean, that's kind of what we've thought about before, but weren't entirely sure. In this issue when Armstrong kind of mentions it, wait,
Right.
You're not technically immortal though, are you?
Right.
So I don't know, it's kind of nice having okay, it is true. He is just a normal, quote unquote, normal human.
Mm-hmm. Which also kind of makes sense, that scene at the end.
Exactly.
Of the volume.
But again, when we'll discuss it when we get there, but once time travel is introduced, everything's off the table.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's kind of like a whole, what's called, kind of like the Family Guy, Brian's death thing.
Yeah.
Like even if they make a big deal of removing the reset button, they still put in an element of where it could get fixed.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, fine not first issue in that sense, but in this volume, continuing the story. And art-wise, it feels kind of interesting because it feels like they're really trying to, what's his name? Francis Portela seems to really try to mimic what's called Clayton Henry style.
Okay.
I don't just feel like compared to a lot of other artist shifts we've had in different series, I feel this one's one of the least egregious ones. I mean, you can tell it's not Clayton Henry, but it just feels very oh yeah, this definitely is the same series. I'm not confused at all by any new character designs or whatever.
Yeah, but then again, the character designs are pretty succinct. They're very clear.
That's
you
true.
don't have someone like Archer walking around who's just a white boy with blonde hair.
Mm. Yeah, or Peter Stanchik, which is the main one.
Right.
Good lord, they had to try to make him less.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you could just by accident you'd have to make him unique.
Exactly.
No, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also so weird, the whole, I feel like the death cult itself is also pretty weird.
I'm guessing it's because I'm not entirely sure now. This Gilad here, time frame wise, actually I'm gonna look it up.
It's after the Emperor, right?
That's the one I was thinking of looking.
Or King, the Emperor, what was it?
Eternal Emperor.
Yeah, Eternal Emperor, this one, yeah. Why don't you check that?
Yeah, it's going to see unless it just says now. No. What we saw is way past that. Because the stuff we are seeing in Eternal Emperor is during the Rise time, 4001 AD.
Right, yeah, 4001.
So this is oh, holy shit, that's more 6,000 years pretty much.
Yeah, because also the death cult back then would still speak English, right? And now it seems like they can't even speak anymore.
Could they? It seemed like they were just kind of like a swarm. I have it open here.
No, because every time they talk, they had the little crossbones in the Ivar issues.
Did they? I can't remember. I'm looking here now.
If you look at page 15.
Oh, like that, you mean? Okay, so I was looking in Eternal Emperor to see if they were speaking.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to be this another trying connection with the Shadow Man. So I'm assuming, because of the face paint.
No, we discussed that last time. There was no connection to the Shadow Man.
Well, not the same kind of connection. It wasn't the one from the one I mentioned. Because Gilad's kind of interesting because of the fact that he's just, in every portion of time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting about which Gilad it is. So in this case, this is the most future version. This is the oldest Gilad we've met so far in any Valiant comic.
So what kind of time frame are we looking at, Rye in this story?
Oh, I mean, Rye should be dead since long ago then.
Well, I mean, maybe one of the Ryes.
Well, we'll see. I mean, eventually we'll get to that crossover event I mentioned, the 4001 AD.
Yeah, but they do mention in this, was it in this comic or in a different one?
Well, the previous volume they were in 4001 AD, like in New Japan.
Yeah. But I'm talking about this issue right here. Did they mention it in this issue or in a different issue where they talk about even the floating cities will be destroyed?
Ooh, I guess it could be here. Sounds like something that Ivar would tell Gilad. Well, they're mentioning the scientist is from New Dubai, yes? I've been watching its orbit decay from some time. So I think that could be, it's not New Japan, it's New Dubai.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking that there would be more than just one. I don't know, they were just talking about some sort of... Yeah, here it is. It's on page 16. When the world explodes, it will take out all these pretty floating cities orbiting it. That sounds like a rather unequivocal evil, yes? So... those floating cities must still exist, so that means that there must also still be a Rai, right? I mean, depending on, of course, how that story goes, if they somehow destroy that whole system of having a protector of
That's
Japan.
A very fair point. Again, it's and again, that's what makes it kind of fun with this. I mean, DC has a similar scenario, not quite as in depth as Valiant, I feel, but you know the character Kamandi in DC.
Nope.
So the Kamandi, the last boy on Earth, it's basically Planet of the Apes.
Oh no! I saw that on
Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold. It's like Planet of the Apes with the dogs.
Well, with all animals.
Like, oh yeah, okay, I guess yeah. But he has like a dog companion or a dog friend or something like that comes with him.
Exactly. So, but that's also the same kind of setup as we kind of have here in terms of, post-apocalypse. Like, regardless of what our heroes do in the present,
right?
This will happen. So, yeah, no, it'll be interesting how they slowly fill in all these details. Because, again, that's what's nice with both the time travel aspect as well as the two time periods, so to speak. Though I kind of wish, kind of going off into other like Valiant tangents here. But as I mentioned before, like the first Valiant character that was the Golden Age character, or not Golden Age, Gold Key, Magnus Robot Fighter. That was taking place in 4001 AD, and then they came up with Rai. So you had two comics taking place at the same time in this future world. I kind of wish just to kind of reinforce the idea of these two concurrent like timelines. If they had another 4001 AD series, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like again, not just whatever, but if they can come up with some kind of either a spin-off from Rai or something. Oh, actually, there is one character I think that might be it. Now that I'm thinking about it. I'm way too behind on current Valiant. I gotta get back into it. Sorry, it was just a little rambling on my end. But yeah, I think this is a good start to the story in terms of the new stake, so to speak, since it's all written for the trade.
Yeah, I do enjoy the way that they the two of them do have this nice banter going back and forth, although it kind of comes into that whole time travel thing where I feel like I don't like that whole philosophizing over time travel or the scientific explanations and all that stuff, because it does just get kind of boring after a while. And but there was some nice action in this, and the two brothers are it is kind of fun to have them kind of interact. But one thing I do want to say, I'm not quite sure how Gilad, like what kind of person Gilad is.
How so?
Well, I think the character kind of goes back and forth between like the brooding hero to like this quippy kind of fun kind of like he is in this comic.
Oh, so you mean in between series, like books?
Yeah, like obviously when he was doing the whole when we had the huge crossover event, the Valiant, he was very like not joking around. There was no like sly smile, no sarcastic comments. no little like joking things. He was always very serious. I mean, obviously, yeah, in that situation, you would have to be serious. But sometimes it just feels so weird. And even with the other one, like even with the Eternal Emperor, he was also very serious the entire time. He was the strong leader, warrior, had his daughter kind of thing, or granddaughter. And he was taking care of her, and he was making sure that she knew the decisions. You know, he was making hard choices, or he was, making hard decisions. And that's what I mean. And then to come to this, where he's kind of like having fun and stuff like that, like, oh, you have no need of me, that kind of stuff, like with a sly smile and all this kind of stuff. And especially in the next issue when he's fighting with Archer, or when he's fighting with Armstrong, it just feels a little bit like it's like it kind of like goes back and forth depending on what writer you have.
Which is pretty typical. I mean,
true.
That's like with TV shows, like you'll have an episode where a character is like super competent or whatever. And then the writer for the next episode after that, decided to play up something else.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, again, it's stuff that happens. With Gilad, it's kind of tricky, though, because it's not so much... Because you'd assume he'd have to change a little bit over the thousands of years he's alive. Like, having some kind of core values.
Right.
But I'd imagine that the older he gets, the more he kind of, not defeatist, but more he kind of sees maybe some inherent silliness in things.
I don't know. I think it would be like the opposite effect. I think if you saw everything happen and like he said in this issue, he said that nothing matters. His work doesn't matter, and he realizes this. He knows this. I feel like he would be more, maybe depressed is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? He would be more, turned into himself and just kind of quiet and not about making jokes or enjoying life in that sense. You know what I mean? Because if he realizes the futility of his life and he knows that he can't die, I mean, the one thing that he's supposed to do doesn't change anything in the world, then I think that would be pretty depressing.
Yeah, but it's like he says himself, it's more about the journey. Like, it's worth, like fighting and living for the present.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, I mean, I feel like someone like that, I mean, I'm not going to say like this character has to be like this. He has to be depressed because he's, seen so many loved ones die. And I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it would make sense, with Armstrong drinking, like that's like, okay, him being a drunk and an alcoholic or whatever makes sense because of all the shit he's gone through. He's seen family and friends and everything like that die, and loved ones and all that kind of stuff. And Gilad has gone through the same thing. So I feel like he would be more serious. But I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's just like one of those things where it's just, wouldn't he be more serious? Wouldn't he be more depressed, more kind of like not quippy?
I don't know. I mean, consider also, it's Fred Van Lente writing it, who was doing Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah, okay.
So, and again, as I said when we read the first volume, this is kind of the replacement series. I mean, same writer, and as I said with last one, same artist too. And again, it's still featuring, Armstrong, or at least the, Anipada line in some way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, probably should move on. In issue 6, Ivar has that weird future leet-speak creature help him build a spaceship, while his two brothers Gilad and Armstrong get on each other's nerves. Ivar leaves them be to go after a female pilot to steer said spaceship, all the while they're being spied on by some technological creature that eventually manages to trick Armstrong into space and incapacitate Gilad, all thanks to its shapeshifting abilities. While all this is taking place, future Neela gets present Neela to recreate the experiment from Volume 1, seemingly failing at first, But by the end, she realizes that she did in fact succeed.
Your summaries are much more summary than mine.
So we're going, well, I don't know, I guess try to look at the core of it.
Yeah, so, yeah, there's this.
I thought this was pretty fun. I mean,
Armstrong
again,
can survive space. Armstrong can survive space.
well, it's like he said, and it's one of those things that makes sense to me. Again, because Armstrong is a lot like the homunculi in Full Metal Alchemist. You know, he's got like a lot of lives in him.
Yeah, I don't know what that...
Oh, just these creatures called homunculi in Full Metal Alchemist.
Well, I mean, I understood that from the thing you said. No. It's like the homunculi from Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know what that is. Well, in this series, Full Metal Alchemist, there's this thing called homunculi. It's like, great.
Now, they're artificial, like humans, basically, and they can only be kept alive because they have Philosopher's Stones.
Oh, is that Alphonse thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, but he's not a homunculi.
Oh, okay.
So, but the thing is, basically, you can create a Philosopher's Stone by sacrificing like hundreds of lives. You like put all these people inside like this like pentagram, kill them, and then that kind of like all their life force is imbued into the stone. So they're just like Armstrong in the sense that they're functionally immortal, but they do have a limit. It's just a huge limit, or small limit, I guess would be the. They have a lot of hit points basically.
Yeah.
And I like, yes, as he says to, oh, no, actually, no, we don't see it until next issue. Sorry. So, but yeah, you know, the explanation to how he survives it, I feel like, yeah, that makes sense from what we've learned about him. But I don't know, I like there's just something fun with this kind of like a brother, like this sibling kind of relationships.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know, it's, because when you're children, you know, you're, the hierarchy is clearer, I think. You know, you have the older sibling, you know, they're older and oftentimes larger. So that's why they get to decide things. You know, and then from there, you know, depending on then like how you're born and your personality, the order you're born in, you know, will also affect your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of interesting seeing this kind of stuff with adults. So, I mean, I don't know, just kind of amusing seeing these three here being brothers and Ivar being the eldest, even though he's the youngest, like age-wise.
Yeah, of course.
Again, it's little things like that. It's such a wacky, weird thing that, you know, makes sense in context. And I don't know, just I think it's lovely banter between them. But this is also what you were not complaining about, but asking about Gilad, because this was like very... almost like anime-esque.
Yeah.
Like they're fighting there and like, you do look a lot like Uncle Gissel anyway. I will murder your face.
But I mean, there's that whole thing about, you know, you kind of go back to your old self when you're around, you know, your brother or your family or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, yeah, his character is a little bit wonky. And I think Gilad hasn't been used enough to really get a voice, like a proper kind of. It's not. I don't think it's inherently clear who Gilad is, because he's only been a side character in a lot of these stories. I mean, so far he's had 2 volumes for himself,
and they were very different from each other.
Exactly, they were very different. And so I think it's kind of hard to nail a certain voice for him. So I think everyone just kind of goes with whatever they feel like. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I mean, this is also another really good issue. I did like that they literally took the when the experiment happened, when Neela was doing the experiment, they pretty much took it 1-to-1 from the first issue.
And again, it's kind of interesting too, yes, the whole, you know, fighting herself and stuff like that.
Right. And also
also getting us this gem of a line. We have a little thing back in 2015 called the Bechdel test. that I think is particularly relevant here. And let me tell you, honey, you are flunking it. Though those things always get me. Again, not saying that, a man can't write a line like that.
Yeah.
So it's always amusing then having them like, see, gals, I get your lingo.
Your lingo? Okay.
It's Fred Van Lente like Steve Buscemi in that meme. Hello there, fellow ladies.
But I gotta say, I do really enjoy that nanite AI guy. Which also, begs the question, what has happened with Bloodshot in this time? Is that basically Bloodshot?
Exactly. That's what I like about this stuff, though. As you said, now I like that they have these elements, like concepts that can kind of go beyond the original character, you could say.
Right.
I mean, remember, this is like a post, at least, post Rai as we know him, like that environment. So, is it some continuation of him too? Or, again, it's we don't know.
Yeah, but I like it because it's not, again, it's this difference between mystery and confusion. This is just all mystery. And it works really well. And I just love it because they then mention this kind of stuff. They just talk about nanite. And then immediately, because we know the world, we know the stories, like, oh, nanite, that means Bloodshot and Rai, and oh my god, and we're in the future, so it could be a new version of Bloodshot and Rai formed together because he's kind of a protector and he has the nanites, and oh my god. I think it's great. And that's why I love that. I love that Valiant is such a small universe in the sense of how many comics are running concurrently. And it's just nice because you can read everything. And I kind of love that we're doing this by reading everything, is that we just really can delve so deep into this, into this world, and it doesn't feel like we're completely overwhelmed. We do have like a goal in mind of reaching everything and actually, reading everything and, catching up, which we are catching up, aren't we?
Oh yeah. I mean, again, it'll take a little while still, but considering how long it takes to fill up a trade, and they don't publish the trade like right as the last issue comes out.
Exactly.
So if we can get like 4 volumes per month, and they can only come out with like the trades, like let's say be generous and say like 1 trade a month, eventually we will, reach it.
Exactly. And I think that's so great that we can actually then have the entire story. But something like Marvel or DC, it would be an impossible task to be like, all right, we're going to start from the first volume ever published of, even if we say like the New 52.
Well, that's the thing. You're going to have 52. We'd have to have 52 episodes before we could get to volume 2 of anything.
Exactly.
I think a lot got canceled by the first, so it's not.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, like you read Justice League, volume 1 has the whole first adventure.
Yeah.
And then we don't know at all what happens until like a year later. Right. Darkseid attacked and things happen.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's just another adventure here. And I feel with this sort of time travel as well as, future tense kind of story elements, we get to expand the world without it feeling forced, so to speak.
Exactly.
So, and again, I can't wait till we get to Book of Death, because that's going to be great.
Okay.
As it's the one I've told you about, we get to see how everything ends.
Okay.
And I really hope they stick to it. Like, even if they give like an in-universe explanation to why it changed, I'd still feel like, no, you promised. You promised this is how Auric dies, how Ninjak dies, how, Armstrong dies, or whatever, like, you promised.
Yeah. Well, if they can figure out how to do that continuum breaking thing that they're talking about in this volume, then maybe it will work. I don't know.
True.
Seriously, when they start talking about that stuff, I just blank out because I have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, that could be a good excuse to go to issue 7.
Yes, because they end this issue with the whole, it's a time loop, which again, I'm like, okay. It kind of like sounds like one of those things where in a movie it would be like dun dun dun, like a huge reveal, and I'm just sitting there going like, what? All right. So let's get to issue 7. In issue 7, Ivar comes back on the ship with Amelia Earhart and notices the absence of his brothers. He finds the nanite version of them having a drink, or of Armstrong, having a drinking contest, and they try to distract him, but Ivar sees through them and they battle. The nanites threaten to throw Gilad out the airlock, just as he did to Armstrong. But before he does, we cut to Neela, where she explains to her older self that she figured something out. I can't really say what it was because it was way too complicated for me to care, but they're happy, and then older Neela has young Neela arrested. Back on the ship, the Anipada brothers are able to beat the nanite AI, and Ivar continues to be cryptic about his past/future/alternate dimension. Also, Armstrong pukes his way back onto the ship, which is just wow. And then finally, old Neela gives backstory. She's from the death cult and wants everything and everyone to die. Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep. All right, on to issue 8 now.
I'm just curious, are there any other female pilots in history, or is Amelia Earhart the only one? And she failed too, Earhart, so it's not the best one either.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are other female pilots, but she is the most famous. So.
Yeah, no, I know, but that could have been kind of a fun thing if it's like if he says something like he's going to go get the best female pilot in history or whatever, and it's someone we've never heard of, but it's like she is real. And then they'll point out like, why not Amelia Earhart? She crashed. She disappeared.
Yeah, but this explains why she disappeared.
Well, she was gone already in volume 3 of Archer and Armstrong, wasn't she?
I can't remember.
I think she was in the Far, Far Away.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I remember that, yeah.
But yeah, that's where it gets. I mean, again, it's a nice kind of workaround as well, with the whole time marks and stuff. Yes. Oh, yeah, he just jumps in and grabs someone. So you don't really have to question too much. And the usual solution of they can put you back as they took them.
Yeah, yeah.
So you essentially have wasted no time, so to speak.
Yeah, but that's a very typical time travel thing.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm not saying it's unique to here, but it works here. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this feels more like a little bit of like an action set piece, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty much just the fight and then a little bit of science talk in the middle and then back to fight. And seriously, man, the whole Armstrong throwing up to get back on the ship. I mean, does that even work?
It should in some way, I think.
No.
I know farting works.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it does.
So, but, and you got to remember too, it's space. There is no, there's nothing except whatever motions are in motion.
Yeah, and the thing is that there's no resistance either, so you will keep moving in that motion.
Yeah, so you only did it like that one big one. Again, it doesn't have to be a big one, as long as there's something that's enough to counteract his other motion. But I don't know, it's just an in-character, move.
Which was also just luck-based, basically.
Too.
I mean, it didn't seem like he was planning on it, or if he realized, like, what movement he was supposed to... I don't know, it was weird.
So
did we ever get... I mean, to jump to the next thing really quickly, do we ever get an explanation why suddenly the nanite AI was brown?
No, no, it's not brown, it's a filter. You see the green thing? I think it's like a force field that can only enter.
Oh, it's a color thing.
Yeah, it's like he didn't become brown because he got kicked. That's why it's red there, because it's, Yeah, I didn't think of it too much either, but now that I look at it.
Yeah, well, also when he puts Gilad into that chamber, he's also brown. So I was just like, what is that?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the problem with that is that nothing else. I think they should have maybe, as just to make it more clear, he should have been green. Like, I understand that they're kind of mixing the colors of the red and the kind of green hue. But the problem is with especially with Gilad, he is dressed in green, and his gray beard becomes green tinted, so it doesn't really feel very different. So I don't know. It's just a lot of the stuff is really weird. But yeah.
Now that's a typical thing that we discussed in school, for example. So an animation workshop.
Yeah.
There's a difference between what's correct and what feels right.
Exactly.
So I'm sure this is the color, with the colorist here, they're like, yeah, this is the color that would appear. But sometimes you just have to but maybe, do a different one that feels better, even if it's, factually wrong.
Yeah.
But I guess that's show business in general, or whatever you'd call it, art. But I don't know. I mean, it's the usual kind of thing where, with the last issue, we're kind of like, Armstrong's kicked out, and we have this creepy thing in here. But it's kind of nice, seeing them all kind of beat him. Mm-hmm. Showing that they were always sort of in control in some form or other.
You think?
I kind of feel so. I mean, the timing is so perfect.
Yeah, but I think that's just luck based. I mean, the fact that Gilad wakes up at the right moment. I mean, I think there's just way too many things happening here that had to do with luck. I mean, obviously the whole Ivar and Gilad thing, that was kind of planned, more or less. Ivar saw that Gilad woke up, then Ivar distracted him, Gilad kicked him into the airlock. But the fact that Armstrong was there too, that's just pure luck.
So, yeah, no, you're right. I was kind of double checking now too. And yeah, it wasn't planned. So for some reason, I guess I maybe filled in the blanks or where it kind of would explain it. But you're right, because Ivar comes in, after Armstrong comes back. And he's all like, Aram, how the hell did you do that? So it doesn't even seem like it was, one of those rough plans.
Yeah.
It did seem like it was pure coincidence or, luck, as you said. So in that sense, I don't like it as much then. Because, it's fine, just, as we said, it was just like an action set piece, really. Just a big fight. It's kind of cool, too, again, and this was what I was mentioning before as well with the whole, this homunculi thing with Armstrong. So it's bothersome. It's bothersome in the extreme. It just spikes the burn rate on my extra life force to keep my cells alive.
Right.
And reassemble tissue that gets burned or frozen. So, but again, that's a kind of interesting way. It's again, functionally immortal. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes me kind of wish we kind of had the old Shadow Man from the 90s. Because I told you about the whole idea that he learned that he would die in 99.
Shadow Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he learned that he found out his date of death. So he's functionally immortal till that day. So he can risk his life doing whatever.
Yeah, they had that kind of idea in Big Fish as well.
Right. Yeah.
One of my favorite movies, where the kid wants to see how he dies, so that he knows that nothing in life will, kill him. So he doesn't have any fear because he knows when he's going to die.
Though, as he says when he meets up with the giant character, so he knew he wasn't going to die, but he probably didn't want to have his legs broken.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's fine. I mean, it's an interesting concept, and you can still have stakes in that sense. Mm. So, because I remember when I was reading one of the old Archer and Armstrong, where they teamed up with Shadow Man and fought the Master Dark. Mm-hmm. And Master Dark mentioned the thing that it's kind of interesting because even he knows about it, so he knows he can't kill him, even when he has him at like, no, well, not gunpoint, but like evil magic point. So he says he knows he can't because I guess it's so it was written.
Mm-hmm.
But then he kind of pulls like a Jafar from the Return of Jafar. You'll be surprised how much the human body can survive, or whatever it was called. But anyways, but yeah, no, it's again, not that this wasn't like a waste of an issue or anything, but considering like the actual important thing regarding Neela, which was then kind of put into, let's see, 1, 2, 4 pages out of the 23. Wait, it would have been like 20 pages, yeah, in total. So it's just kind of amusing in that sense that the actual important thing was kind of pushed down like that.
Yeah, well, I also think it's really, really interesting to see how, or the reason why Neela, or the old Neela, hates the Anipati brothers, or Anipada brothers, just because when they had that little shot of just the 3 timelines, or the 3 times when the brothers were just messing with her or with her cult. And it's also interesting to see that they are actually part of the sect.
Yeah, did you realize that it was the null from Volume 2?
No, I didn't.
So Archer and Armstrong is because they also had the whole thing about the null and making everything 0.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that there was a connection between the House of the Dead and the sect, or the null. I didn't realize that there was a connection. So it's kind of interesting to
well, again, it all
that.
ties together.
Yeah.
So, and it's I'm always kind of mixed with that sometimes. Again, not that I don't want things to tie together.
Mixed with that sometimes.
Yes. I wanted to make it clear.
Okay.
That it was only sometimes.
Anyway, you were saying.
So yeah, no, but because it's kind of like it's one of the things I both like and really hate with the Marvel Ultimate Universe. Because with the mainstream universe, it's all kind of all this hodgepodge of different ideas. People just came up with ideas and then they decided to have them cross over. And that's why you have all these different secret organizations and the characters that you kind of feel they should have known each other or something, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Ultimate Universe kind of, again, it makes it more coherent, but it unfortunately connects everything. Like if I remember correctly, almost every hero is somehow connected to the super soldier serum.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because Captain America obviously, but the spider that bites Peter Parker was imbued with super soldier serum.
Right. Well, everyone I think there was like that thing where everyone is just trying to recreate the super soldier serum.
Well, it's just the excuse to kind of explain why they get their powers, a lot of them. I think even the Hulk, like he got some kind of weird version of it, and then the gamma radiation made it affect him. So it wasn't just gamma radiation.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that actually the explanation in the film as well? Like
I don't think it was in the film.
No, in the first one. Like the one that wasn't connected to the
ooh, I can't remember that.
The Marvel universe.
You mean they mentioned super soldier serum?
I would think so.
So long ago I watched it.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible, but I can't remember it now because it's it doesn't count. I only watch movies that count. So, but yeah, no, it's but that's what I mean. It's I like it. Like here, it works because they were already sort of connected with the characters. But I sometimes get a bit worried when they try to, instead of expanding, like adding to the universe, they just try to have concept that they already have. Take care of things.
Yeah.
So right now I'm fine with it. I'm just I'm telling you, Valiant, I'm watching you. You better come up with more characters and concepts. But yeah, anything else?
Nope, I guess we can move on to issue 8.
which starts off with a big damn heroes moment as Ivar and the gang storm Obliv. Oh yeah, how do we not talk about Obliv 1?
Yeah.
Anyways.
It was Obliv 1, right?
I think it was just Obliv. Anyways.
Anyway.
And the gang storm Obliv 1 with the fun Newman nanites attacking anyone without a Zelig chip. Armstrong and Gilad go to rescue Neela, but both fail at first, with Ivar and Neela reuniting for a kiss in the middle of it all. After a struggle with the future Neela, she finally kisses Ivar, which makes the two of them seemingly explode. Ivar and Armstrong manage to get Neela back on their ship and fly off. Sad to know that Ivar is dead.
Dun dun dun.
So, but yeah, as we were discussing there, I like names like that.
It is Obliv 1.
So it is Obliv 1.
Yeah.
But just stuff like that's like, oh god. It's like, it's kind of like when we were reading Unity and it was Unit Y.
Yeah.
Or last time, Ninjak or Ninjak K.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, not really the same because Ninjak isn't a word.
Yeah, but still. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conclusion to the current portion of the story.
Yeah, and it did feel very...
Is that the tamest way of describing something? Like the most neutral way?
Yeah.
It is the conclusion. It certainly is a conclusion.
It served its purpose.
It is a thing. It exists.
Yeah. Again, there was a lot of things I didn't really understand here. I mean, the kiss between young Neela and Ivar was kind of like, all right, get it out of the way, and then get her little PC social justice warrior thing out as well. And then especially the kiss at the end with the fire and the Star Trek reference. It's just I don't know. It's just so confusing. Like why, what, how, and then the whole thing where Gilad and Armstrong like already know what was going to happen. It's just this time travel stuff and I don't know. And like you said, like Ivar's not really dead. I mean, he's probably going to be in the next issue.
Well,
but
the
it's not
thing is,
be...
he could be really dead, but because of time travel.
Well, that's what I mean. He's like, he's going to be there from a different time, and then Neela's going to be all like, "Oh my God, you survived!" And he's like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "Oh no, he doesn't remember me." And then it has to go on about all that kind of stuff, and I don't know. I got it. Just as a conclusion of all of it, this was not necessarily my favorite volume. I mean, it was good. I mean, there's so much worse that we have read. It's not bad. The art is good. The action is good. The pacing is good. But it's just not a story that I enjoy. I just can't. I can't do time travel. Just no. I mean, that's the fun thing. Like with something like, with Doctor Who. It's more or less just these isolated stories. The fun part is they just go into a time, and then they do stuff.
Right. It's not the actual traveling. It's the end point that matters.
Yeah. It's just the device to tell stories in different universes, timelines, worlds, just anything you can think of. Which makes sense. And I love the way that they explain time travel and stuff like that. It's just like they just say it's timey-wimey stuff. Just don't worry about it. It works. It just don't think. And I like that because it's just like, no, this is not part of the story. But with this, where they're trying to explain everything and she has to, and again, I still don't understand why the young Neela has to invent something that the old Neela has already invented.
Well, I think it's one of those things where she has to do it in order to keep the timeline stable, I guess.
Yeah, but isn't she all about unstabilizing the timeline?
But she can only do it once it's been done, and yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It gets confusing.
Yeah, but she's already done it.
Yeah, I mean, it's confusing.
Yeah, that's the understatement of this entire podcast.
So, but I don't know. I mean, it's just a big little battle at the end here.
Yeah.
So it's cool, you know. Both sides have some easy to draw, you know, like grunt soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you don't have to worry too much about having all kinds of unique designs. Like, you know, there's not a jab at you, Francis. So, yes. But you know, just it's easy to see like who's winning, so to speak, and all that.
Yeah.
You know, and it keeps the action going. You know, we get to see the cool stuff. We also get a kind of nice page layout on page 10.
Mm-hmm.
So with future Neela walking.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's you know, this is a classic kind of thing, but I like the more how would you describe it? Not simple, but quadratic. I don't know, just the way it's set up. Like it's very, I wouldn't say even either, but it's very methodical. Like everything's very straight. Like if you remember like Dead Drop when they did it.
Yeah.
Everything was at like at angles, you know, like everything was like Dutch angles and stuff like that.
Well, I think this would be basically a storyboard, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah. It's showing her route.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I'm thinking it's also the camera movement. I mean, if you start from the top left of the page, you can follow it along all the way to the right, and then you see where she comes in. So this is basically a camera movement. You see the top, the fire, then you see some people fighting, then it goes over, then it goes down to the door, you see her come in, then you follow her through the fight, and then up the stairs. This is a storyboard.
Yeah, but actually, looking at this now, though, doesn't this imply that the entire left portion is irrelevant somehow?
Yeah, kind of.
Because we don't really have a tell to when we should read it. Like, you know, okay, we're starting from the top. Okay, you know, we got the borders here. Okay, this is one really long one. And okay, there we have her. Oh, okay, we're supposed to follow this. Oh, that's cool. But we're kind of ignoring this whole portion there in a sense. I mean, I don't ignore it when I look at it because I always see the whole page first.
Yeah.
And in this case, you know, it's very easy because it is just one image.
Right.
But yeah.
I guess this also kind of implies that she's walking through like stopped time.
I don't think it's stopped time. I think it's just showcasing her moving through.
Yeah, I know, but it's just because it's weird because I say panel 3 cuts, like if you're looking at her, she's moving in space, but the people around her aren't moving because the person is being cut by panels. So like the warriors.
So you mean we should have, in a sense, like with the panel 3, as you said.
Yeah. So
in panel 4, we technically should have seen this guy fallen over.
Exactly.
That's.
I mean, obviously, it's just a nitpick, and this is just like this. It is a comic book, so you can't have these moving things, and
it probably just look more distracting having things cut off.
And the effect worked. You know, it just works fine. It's not a problem. I mean, the thing with the previous comic that we were reading. No, not the previous one. It was 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, Dead Drop.
Yeah, when they did it, it was like a quick thing. You know what I mean? Like it was like usually running around a corner where then she would jump off a lamppost or something like that, and then you would see that there was kind of like a stop in time, kind of like a Matrix moment kind of thing.
Mm.
But with this, where she's just like walking casually through it, I think if you really look at this page for a longer time, you start thinking, wait a minute, shouldn't they be moving? Like, shouldn't they be a different? Because it kind of looks like she's walking through, stopped time. But yeah, not a problem. I'm just saying that.
Well, I think the fact that time travel is a concept within it would certainly make it not a totally, stupid idea.
Yeah, but we haven't seen her really stop time or anything, so.
No, but still, like the concept wouldn't be impossible, you know. Like, you know, it's like some stuff when you're reading, you know, watching whatever, mostly reading, because I guess film is a little bit more quote unquote realistic, because, you know, it's actually things in motion. But these kinds of like graphical shortcuts or representations aren't quite as vague then. Or not vague, but like, what's the word? There's a nice word for it. What's the word? When you, I know it in Swedish.
Say it in Swedish.
Tvetydlig.
What?
Tvetydlig. It's when you're, it's a nice word too. It's when something isn't clear if it's one way or another.
So how do you spell it?
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous.
There we go. That's how you spell it. Ambiguous. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of, I mean, again, you mentioned Doctor Who earlier as well, which obviously I feel, especially at the time it came out, this comic, I think it was still while Doctor Who was, actually, I'm not sure how popular it is still. I mean, I know it's still going. It's not that, but.
Yeah, female doctor.
Oh, yeah, true. So, but it kind of feels like almost like, it almost feels a little fanficky, because the Doctor is always, at least from my, like, from the ones I've seen. So it's always been seen as not really a romantic person.
Yeah.
Like he might do things that could be perceived as such, but he himself has no romantic attraction to people more than, or if so, he has the same attraction for everyone, like humans and stuff.
Yeah. So
this kind of feels like almost like a fanfic in terms of like, oh, please let the Doctor and the companion, you know, kiss.
Right.
And again, nothing bad or not. I mean, this is its own character, so it's fine for them to do it. But yeah, like, you know, having the romance in here, it's just kind of gotta have it like all the, well, it's not really drama either. I mean, it's not like she's jealous of herself, you know, when her future self kisses him. So that B word. But it kind of falls also like the little Empire Strikes Back in terms of like tone, or at least like the ending. Like if we're going to see it as a trilogy in terms of the 3 volumes of this series.
Yeah.
You know, we have the second volume here ending then with like the downer. You know, like they sort of won in terms of rescuing Neela, but the main character of the book is dead. I don't know, I guess I'm not really having much to add to this issue.
Yeah. So, I mean, did old Neela now kill herself? Or what happened?
Okay, we'll have to read the next volume.
No, but...
I mean, again, it's obviously set up with that. I mean, it even says so there. Next, the end of history. So I am looking forward to that, because from what I remember, so it has some cool new characters and stuff. Right, that was the point I actually wrote down here. I thought this was an interesting volume because there was really no new character introduced. Like at most, you got that, you know, the nanite creature.
Yeah, well, that's a new character.
Yeah, but he's like, I don't know, it just feels very...
he's killed right away.
Well, yeah, he feels more like a device, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But otherwise than that, you know, it's all characters who have either appeared in this series or in other like series. And again, not bad or good or anything. It's just thought it was interesting because usually you want to add more stuff. You know, like a new character, like the true final boss, or another character that they have to recruit or whatever. So no, I think that's kind of interesting sometimes. It's kind of like this. I've read it on TV Tropes. It's called the bottle episode.
Right. Yeah.
So when you just try to keep within like the sort of low budget, I guess you could say, you know, as few actors and sets as possible.
Yeah.
Not that, of course, you know, if this was the equivalent with all these special effects and characters, I guess it wouldn't really be cheaper. So, but I don't know, just I noticed it. That's really all I have to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a final thing, I think it's nice to see that Star Trek still gets watched, no matter how close to the singularity you are. right, do you have anything else to say?
No, just that I do enjoy it. It's but again, I don't know. It's I'm trying to actually kind of in my own, like for my own sake, kind of like arrange my favorites in terms of like both characters and series.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because there's so many now, as well as the ones in the future that we haven't read together, I'm having trouble actually. It's kind of like with the Marvel movies. Remember when it was just like up to the Avengers and you could like easily kind of arrange them?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh yeah, God, this one was like fine. It wasn't, it wasn't amazing.
And I haven't even watched most of them anymore.
Mm. On the opposite note of that, go watch Justice League, everybody. It's awesome. So, and I'm not being paid by Warner Brothers. I don't think they have the money to bribe people now.
Why would you be a person that they would bribe?
They've been doing stupid decisions anyways. Maybe that's another one.
Okay, I don't think we need to get into that right now.
So, yeah. No, but I really liked it. It was the most superhero-y movie I've seen in years. All the other superhero movies tend to have this other genre that they kind of try to mix up. But this felt true superhero, and so satisfying.
Well,
And stay till the end credits, or like till the afternoon.
Do you even need to say that anymore?
Well, again, they haven't had it for the DC movies. This is the first one.
Okay. All right. Well, you can discuss this episode on Reddit, tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean, which will be changing soon. So, keep up with whatever. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for
Unity Volume 5, Homefront.